Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, December 8. Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve curfews have been amended to 1 a.m. Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced those and other changes to the COVID-19 containment measures during yesterday's sitting of the House of Representatives. From Friday, December 10 to Thursday, January 13, 2022, the nightly curfew starts an hour later at 10 o'clock.
How well we are able to maintain these hours really depend on how people behave. So it is not our intention to in any way deprive persons of enjoying the spirit of Christmas and enjoying the festivities of the season. But people ought to remember that the threat is still very much real, especially with a new variant that spreads rapidly.
Mr. Holness says operating hours for rivers, beaches and other water attractions have been extended until 5 p.m. To facilitate the return to full productive capacity, the mandatory work-from-home order for public sector workers will come to an end on December 31. Prime Minister Holness says individual ministries, agencies and departments of government still have the option to continue the order based on their circumstance. Protocols governing places of worship, weddings, annual general meetings and events hosted by the government remain unchanged. So too have the rules governing burials, funerals and the public gathering limit. In the meantime, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says protocols for entry into Jamaica remain in place. Persons are still required to present a negative PCR or antigen test 3 days before travel to the island. Travelers who are fully vaccinated and have opted for the PCR test will not be required to quarantine. The quarantine order remains in effect for those who have taken the antigen test, those who are partially vaccinated, and those who are unvaccinated. Mr. Holness told yesterday's Parliament that the state was reviewing the travel ban imposed on southern African countries following the discovery of the Omicron variant of COVID-19. According to the Prime Minister, health surveillance suggests that the Omicron variant is fast becoming the dominant strain in the world, so a travel ban would be pointless. As such, the island is actively preparing for a fourth wave of the virus. The Ministry of Health has provided over 250 vaccination sites, is building out field hospitals, increasing bed capacity, procuring oxygen generators, and an additional genome sequencer to test for variants.
Your life is in your hands. The government is going to move to return the economy and the country to normalcy, and we are doing so with great caution and great care. But there is a limit to which the government can shield the citizens from the threat, and without creating more problems in doing that. So we are, Madam Speaker, moving steadily and surely to reopen the country. I urge all Jamaicans, therefore, to make the responsible choice to keep yourselves, your families, and your loved ones safe.
In other news, more Jamaicans will benefit from driving training opportunities following Tuesday's handover of a $5.4 billion test driving simulator. The simulator was provided by the Ministry of Transport to the Island Traffic Authority. It will be stationed at the Swallowfield Vehicle Examination Depot.
We are hoping that over time, the behavior on our roads will improve. And introducing the driving simulator into the thing now, so that once you finish the test, before you do the yard test, the inspector is going to put you on the simulator to ensure that you know how to control a vehicle.
The Transport Minister says another simulator will soon be given to a selected high school. It's aimed at introducing more Jamaicans to driving from the secondary level. Minister of Housing and Urban Renewal, Pernell Charles Jr. says the National Housing Policy and the amended Rent Restriction Act will both be tabled in Parliament by March next year. The minister says the National Housing Policy and Implementation Plan is being prepared for tabling as a white paper. He says the document is in the final stages of examination by a technical review committee, after which it will be submitted to Cabinet for consideration and approval. Mr. Charles Jr. adds that amendments to the Rent Restriction Act, which seeks to strengthen the rights of landlords and tenants, is now awaiting the fifth draft bill.
The suite of policies and legislations will aid in providing the enabling framework that is critical for the improvement of the provision of adequate, safe, legal and affordable housing for all Jamaicans.
Minister Charles Jr. was speaking in the House of Representatives recently. And finally, the Bank of Jamaica, BOJ, is advising that the Jamaica $55,000 commemorative banknote being circulated is acceptable for all transactions as legal tender. The clarification comes amidst reports of persons having trouble conducting transactions with a banknote. The commemorative note bears the Jamaica 50 logo and the image of the late former Prime Minister Hugh Shearer on the front. On the back, it bears the photograph of a group of children from the Central Branch Primary School instead of the usual aerial view of Highway 2000.
The security features of a standard 5,000 note remains. That hasn't changed. So that window you have in the middle, once that window is there, and in terms of the thread in the note, once you can determine that, do not look at what is at the back of the note or the logo on the front. Those are the only two differences.
Deputy Governor of the BOJ, Natalie Haynes, says persons who are not comfortable using the notes may call the central bank and have them verified. They may also exchange it for a standard note over the counter at the BOJ. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching.